Okay, so welcome everyone to our third Art and Artist Talk for the virtual galleries of our FEMME Champions International Art Exhibition. So we have altogether 55 artists from over 15 countries, and some of them are here today to share their interpretation, vision, motivation of FEMME Champions, what that means to them, how they are presenting it through their visual art, and also would like to ask what your feedback is or what your commentary is for this exhibit and their artwork. So I really appreciate, and the artists as well appreciate your feedback. How it strikes you. So this will help them to grow as artists. You know, if what they set out to do, have they achieved it? And if they have, great. And if they have not, well, how can they do it a little differently? So this is not a time to be mean and critical, but it is a time that you can, if you see anything that they can do a little better. So constructive criticism is also valuable for an artist who wants to grow. And all of the artists in this show, I know they want to grow and expand, because that'll only help them to be even more spectacular artists already that they are. Okay, so I'm going to start here. You can see we're on this one. We are on, well, these are all the artists here, but down here we have where it says the list of artists one, which we did last week. And this is the artist two. So now I am on the website, artimpactinternational.org/FEMME. So if anybody needs any of this information after this gallery talk, you are welcome to visit the website. And this is where all the information is, all of it. So I'm gonna click on here. So make believe you're the one clicking on everything. So you just get a taste of what you need to, how you need to navigate. So we're gonna go to the art list for number 2. So somebody asked last week Saturday, where can we see all of the art for this segment? And this is how you can view it. This is the Kunst Matrix. This is the host, if you will, of our 3D virtual gallery, Kunst Matrix. And these are the artworks that we're going to cover for today. And there are several of these. So what I'm going to do is cover half of these, right, for the artists who are here, and then the other half our next meeting, which is in December after the holiday weekend and so forth. That, I believe, is on the 4th of December. So as you can see here, so that'll help me. Now I did take off the music for the gallery rooms. So now we can actually navigate the gallery without hearing the music. And that was a little bit of a challenge the last time. So now that's been taken care of. So if you've been visiting the galleries now and you don't hear the music, that's why I've taken it out. So we're going to start here first with Ilaria. Now, I'm going to sort of go back and forth between the Kunst Matrix, this listing, the actual 3D virtual gallery, the e-commerce. I'm going to do that for the first few artists, and just know that you can do the same thing for all of the artists. I just don't want this to be like 3-hour gallery talk. Let's try to keep it to the 90 minutes. Let's try. If not, we'll go over. I don't want to take away from any of the artists' presentations. So let's start with – Ilaria. Now, is Ilaria present? I'm not sure she is. So what I'm going to do is jot down who is not. It may be more. James, is James Flowers here? Okay. And you know, Prince Maduekwe, is he here? No. Okay. Gerald, I don't see his name. Again, even though they're not here, we'll cover them towards the end. I'll go through their works. Janie, I think I saw Janie's name. No. If you see your name, please tell me. If you know you're here and I've missed you. Anand, he was actually speaking last week. So Ottilia, Hubert, this seems a little strange because some of these have already spoken. Okay, let's try this. Of the artists who are here today, I see Adrian. Adrian, I think yeah, here's Adrian. So Adrian, let's start with you if you don't mind. How you feel about that?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
So don't say anything yet. I'm going to click here so people can see your art, but I'm also going to go back to the exhibit, right? And I'm going to click on full screen for the exhibit. Now, if anybody wants to just see their artwork, or if a collector wants to see a specific artist's artwork, all you have to do once you enter the exhibit is you can click on here where it says list of artworks. And then I believe you can click on the person's name. There's also another way you can just click on their name. But once you're inside here, like here's Adrian, and we click here, it will immediately move the cursor, you see, all around, and then you can see. And then you can navigate it out, and you can see where their artwork is situated in the entire. As you can see, Adrian's work is quite large and beautiful. So again, I'm going to go back here to the web page. This is where you can find all the artists listed, and Adrian is on the top. Her name is Adrian Cook. And I'm going to read her brief bio and statement for her as an introduction. So this is Adrian Cook. She is a photographer who grew up in Northern Virginia. She's a photographer with a love and deep appreciation of being in the present moment, is attuned to nature, acutely aware of her surroundings, and notices things others may miss. So this is her statement. Being a photographer is my love, my passion. With the images I create, I would like the viewer to be able to stop and really take the image in, come up with their own story, and use their imaginations, learn to appreciate your surrounding. The image I chose to submit, Red Staircase, is my interpretation of a female champion, the bold and the powerful shape of red, the curve of the staircase, the strength of the structure, and the sheer presence embodies the strong feminine to me. Thank you, Adrian, for producing this wonderful artwork, this image, which I can go here so we can see it even bigger. Okay, so please, Adrian, tell us a little bit more about this piece, and also a little bit about yourself that wasn't in the bio.
Okay, so, well, first, thank you for having me. I appreciate being selected and for all that you do for all of us artists. This particular piece I took at Reginald Lewis Museum in Baltimore. My family and I, we were at an exhibit shortly after the Baltimore riots. There was an exhibit of a photographer that had captured some of the images during that time. So while viewing his images, I rounded the corner and came across this red staircase that I just loved. So my father and I stood there and we waited till it was cleared.
Yes.
And then I was able to capture this image along with a few others. And I just love it. I love me as a photographer. I love lines of symmetry. I also love depth of field. I love the industrialness of it. I just love this image.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow. And can I ask you, it's sort of like a comment to what you said and what you're showing here, that it's industrial. And when you think of industry, sort of you sometimes think more of masculinity, because that's what society in general, when they have, architects or builders, they're usually guys, with their muscle and like this. But you've shown here that feminine, the gender equality doesn't necessarily mean that women have to be the same as men. That's not the equality you're talking about. You're just talking about the fact that they should be considered as human, and humanity is an equal thing. It's not that they have to be the same and do the same, but they're considered equally. Right? Exactly. And so even with this staircase, you've given a beautiful rendition of that balance between that red, that assertion, but also the elegance, the symmetry, the grace, right? It's just beautiful. Even the sky you have as part of the image. And so as women, we dream, we think a lot maybe too, but the sky's the limit for us, right? And so I really appreciate this. And do you have any, I don't want to ask you about your philosophy because you're giving it here, right here. But let me ask you about these little light bulbs on the side. I mean, you could have not put them in, but they're great. What did those little light bulbs mean to you? And also the sky, the skylight? How do you interpret those?
Well, my thing is when I capture an image, as I said in my statement, I choose to take what's there. So they were there, and I still feel that they add to the piece. And I don't choose to use Photoshop and remove certain things from my work. It's like what's there is there. You just have to stop and view it, see it for yourself. And I feel like, everybody should appreciate their surroundings, because nowadays so many people are on their phones. You just see people walking on their phones or even driving on their phones. And it's like, you got to put it down and you got to appreciate what's around you. As far as the light space there, I like the different shapes. I felt like that added another element to this image. And that's pretty, I love the whole structure.
How about, I don't want to just say what I see, but what did you feel when you saw the skylight in this whole
I felt freedom, because it is such a strong, structure there. But then that light space, it just gives you that little bit of breath of air that you can take too, so you're not feeling claustrophobic while moving up.
Somehow for me personally, because I'm a mother, it reminds me of being able to give birth also, that opening for women to give birth to the unknown, right? When I had my children, I didn't know them. I knew them physically, but I didn't know them as spirits, not until they could communicate with me. So for me, that's the first thing that comes to mind when I see even the shape of that, you know, like where the child comes out
Right.
of the mom. It's that sort of that shape. I of course it's coincidental, but for me, because we're talking about femme champions, and because I'm a mother, I put my own interpretation because I'm the viewer, right? And I'm sure others have other parts of this that they want to talk about that we haven't even touched on. So if you don't mind, I'll open it up to others who are on the call to give their input and their comments on this beautiful photograph.
Oh,
so guys,
thank you. Sure. And I appreciate your feedback. That's what I prefer people to, the viewer, to do. Let me know how it makes you feel, you know, have a discussion piece.
Right. So please, guys, you can please go ahead and unmute yourselves if you have any comment that you want to share with Adrian. And I hope you do. So unmute and speak, or forever hold your peace, but no holding pieces. Speak. Uh-oh, I hear quiet. Maybe we talk too much.
Adrian.
Yes.
What's the title of your piece?
It's called Red Staircase.
Red Staircase.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can read meaning to read, like the journey to the top.
Journey
to the top.
Journey to the top. Oh, okay.
Yeah. The journey of life. So I mean, like you climb, the higher you go,
right?
The narrow the opportunity.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
And then red can stand for many things, maybe danger, anything.
Yeah. Red also happens to be my favorite color. So this shade of red. So
I like the meta, the twist and turning.
Yes.
The journey of life.
Yeah, I like that too.
The life is not straightforward. You go to the bend, you get to the corner. You just find a way through to the top.
See, and the curve I also feel is it shows movement. I feel,
you
know, movement as well.
Like a dynamism.
Well, thank you for your feedback.
I'll say something.
Yes.
I just love the different planes, the intersections, and that wonderful feeling of being able to climb all the way up straight through that glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Which of course we hear so much about.
That's right.
That is right there for us.
Yeah, wonderfully, that metaphor is caught right here. That's very true.
Thank you.
Is this the actual color? You said yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, I love the fact that Adrian did not do any photoshopping of any sort with this. So it's just a true image.
Yeah, like everything is minimal, like minimal sharpening, but that is the color of the staircase. Nothing has been removed or anything like that.
Right. It's lipstick red.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I love it.
Well, thank you guys. Any other comments for Adrian? Okay. Let's see if we can keep this going well. Actually, let me do this. I think this would, let me go back to all of the artwork for this. I usually have like a little text document with all the artists who are listed to speak today. But as you heard, I just ran in just exactly like 3 minutes before the gallery talk was to start. So let me just do one thing here. I can get it here. Mm. But another reason why you guys should definitely have a working website is that it records everything that you've done, and it keeps an excellent record of what it is that's happening. So if you're always updating your CV, right, your artist CV, then every show that you do, you can add to it. Then you add it to your website. So if you have to show somebody what did you do, you can direct them to your website and say, well, these are the latest shows I've been in. But of course, you have to keep up with it. So what I wanted to do is where it says register. Yeah, the registration has the page where today's the 20th, right? So when you clicked on the sign up, it gives you the list of artists. So here they are here. So I just know where things are. So what I would do is just copy this and paste it. So that way I don't have to keep asking. I can go through and I can see who is supposed to be here, right? So we did, actually we did Anand last week. Right, we did him last week, so I don't think he's on the call this week. Okay, Anyan, she is definitely here. So let's open up Anyan's page. And Anyan, if you can mute yourself, everybody else can mute themselves except Anyan, and I will read her bio. This is Anyan's picture here, and she's from Canada, from Mississauga. My sister actually is living in Mississauga, one of my sisters. Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, based artist, Antin has been honing her skills in oil painting for the past several years. She would work on a single painting over and over again to achieve the right feel. She loves to celebrate life through painting with the bold use of colors, shadows, and lights to reflect life as she sees it and as she feels it. The scope of her paintings include landscapes, figures, floral, and still life. She seeks uniqueness in the expression of arts and continue to evolve and expand her own language of arts. Her work reflects her love of life and joy of living in this world and all it contains. She's trying to evoke emotions in the audience who will only not see her paintings as a piece of canvas with colors, but also with life coming out of it. Her works have been exhibited and sold in Singapore, the US, and Canada. This is Anyan's statement. The wise enjoy water. Water is gentle and flexible, and yet it can be as strong as the ocean waves. Water has no shape, but it can become any shape. It flows slowly through the years, through the heart, seemingly low-key, but in fact full of persistence, single-mindedly toward the farthest place. It approaches the temperament of life in a gentle and graceful way, like a woman. Woman frolicked in water. So these are her pieces that are in the show. I believe there's these two, Frolicked in Water and here. So Anyan, are you here? Did you?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Anyan, for these beautiful works of art. I'm going to click on this first one. Can you, I love your statement about, it's sort of like yang yin, right? Or yin yang. There's
yeah.
So women are yin, right? They take stuff in. The yangs, they give it out. But here, as you said, it's the water. It can be almost both. It can be receptive and also have a force of pushing out. So I love that you selected these pieces for the show. Can you tell us a little bit more? I'm going to make it bigger so people can see it. This first one. And also, please tell us more about yourself as you speak about the work itself. And this, guys, is the e-commerce site. So go ahead. I'm going to click on it. Yeah.
Okay. The first also, thank you for your hard work and also for selecting my artwork to the show. And, you know, as a woman, I always think about woman is it is a topic for me to, you know, it's my direction to, you know, to think about, to create my art. How in this world, woman, you know, about the equality and independence, and also, you know, we as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, how we can love others and also love ourselves, and you know, establish our identity in this world. And you can tell a lot of things, but I still think a woman should be soft, tender, and just like a water. We can be, you know, very strong as if the situation needs us like a man. And also we have a tender heart, and just like the water, you're tender, you treat people around you very soft, and show your love to them. And also, as a mother in this year, I feel I try to contribute myself to my family. And sometimes you just feel you lost yourself. And one day when I, you know, swimming in the pool, then I think about, you know, I'm a woman, just like this water. I can be very gentle, soft to the people, but sometimes for my life, I have to fight for it. I have to, like a man, I mean, not a man, but spiritually, you have to be very strong. So I always like water, and I think the water can be contained to different container. They can be, you know, different shape. But in Chinese, we have a saying, say, for those water drop can conquer the stone to, you know, to shape the stone like have a hole. So that means also show the water is very strong. They have a strong character. So for the first one, I created this piece, and the women enjoying themselves, and also appreciate themselves. And then I created the second one. I want the more abstract, and I don't want the, you know, I want this abstract have more power, more show the water form when your body in the water, and can be the water can form your shape as the wave come, and they still can form your not only shape. When you are in the ocean, the wave is so strong, and you want to conquer those waves and become very, very strong, and the wave cannot maybe destroy you, or maybe make human despair, but also it's so beautiful, and you can see on the water surface the shape become very interesting shape. That's just directly from virtual side you can enjoy those shape. But I also have a very strong message behind those shape, and I want to feel in the water. You also can be very strong and have a strong feeling just by the color or those abstract shapes, lines, dots. So that's for, I have a few pieces, but I didn't totally finish yet. But this is the idea I got from the water with the body.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you also. Both of these paintings, you have the woman's nipples, right? From her breast, both of them. And I think is very pertinent to our exhibit. Also, you have the color of her nipple here in this, what looks like a flower on the bottom, on the bottom left. Now, what was your thinking, if you were thinking at all, about these 3 points, the 2 nipples and then this flower? What was your idea, or your?
Oh, my idea is women, should love your body, and this is show your body, the like a logo, and I just use another, in the under the water, maybe cover a little bit, and another 2, obviously. But still you can think about it, and I think that's the beauty why you want to hide them, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I have to share with you something on YouTube.
Okay.
Anything that shows the nude body, I wanted to make sure that they would not like say, I can't show that. Right. So nipples and breasts and in the middle, because there were other artists who showed nude. But I wanted to make sure what YouTube felt about nudity on their platform. And I was happy to see that they loved fine art body nudity. Fine with that. The only nudity that they don't want is one that solicits pornography, that solicits the idea of taking advantage of a woman or a girl child or something that's pornographic, so that was, and I knew they would love this. This is fine, right? Because it's not pornographic. It's very beautiful. It inspires beauty. It inspires art, right? So again, so just so those who are listening know, because I know some artists feel that, society today, they cut down and they say, no, you can't show nudity, but at least we know there are some large companies that don't mind it at all, as long as it's, you know, like Michelangelo, my God, he showed nude all the time. What happened, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Right. So, but if it's illicit, or if it looks like somebody's doing something that's just not part of what you would want your children to see, I mean, I would hope that, you know, as a mother, you show your nude body with your children so they understand your body, but that doesn't mean you're going to be doing strange things with your body in front of them, you know.
No. So I just want to show the body, you know, in the good way.
Right.
That's right. That's I know some show they don't allow people, you know, submit those nudity work. I understand sometimes, you know, for the kids, they don't, you know, but as my background, I'm come from China, and for the long time, the woman cannot even, I think everybody knows, women cannot show their body, even their feet, they cannot show. So that's from old time. Now it's changed a lot. It's totally different, but sometimes you shift too much away in the, I think it's in the ugly way, or, you know, sexually. I don't want that. I just want to show beauty, how beautiful human's body, right? So that's my original thinking. And also I use female body a lot to create a different thing for my art. So but maybe this time is more like a more obviously, usually I don't do this much.
Right. Well, let us see where your artwork is inside here. Let's just so people can see. I mean, we put maybe it's this one. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, here it is, list of artwork. So I'm gonna type in, here it is, here you are. Here.
Oh, okay.
See, so here you are, and I'll pull it out so you can see where Anya's work is. See, I put her next to the water. Here was Jean Catherine Howard, who is also doing water, and they have on their, now these are senior citizens who are female, right? and they are also frolicking in the water in their own way, you know. So I thought these two would be kind of cool together. And even the colors here, you have a very soft palette of blue and soft ochre, but here she has, you know, many different colors here. And this one, again, was just the one strong color. So, and this is some more of her on the other side. So let us have some commentary from the viewers, the participants, the attendees here about Anya's work. So I'm going to click on it so we can come in. Does anybody have anything at all they'd like to share of their thoughts with Anya? You can unmute yourself and give a.
I really like the shades of blue that were used in this one. Like, I like the deep blue, also how you use some of the, a little bit of the orange in the body that shows like the contrasting colors as well.
Thank you.
But
trying to get it.
I love those shades of blue. They're like nice, soft, you know, smooth, and as you said, feminine. I really enjoy that.
Thank you.
I think it's really fascinating the way the water and the body parts intertwine. So the more you look at the pieces, the more you discover. The body is so entwined with the water.
Lecture on, and I'm trying to turn it off.
And I just see more and more as I look at it. And it's like one whole organic piece, the body and water together. And I think in terms of what you were saying, that is really a fascinating way to look at it. You know, what is the body and what is the water, and how do they relate?
In the more figurative one, I see the top half of the body also as a face. Well, no, it's the other one, so it's probably more I don't know. I thought you said the other one was more.
This one?
Yeah. I just the top part of the body I actually see as a face in profile. With hair straight back. Yeah. So the more you look at it, you can see so many different elements and images.
Yeah, that's also for the create the image. I wonder the first eye, when you see just very abstract, you cannot really tell what is that. When you in front of this image, stay for a while, you can see more. That's the purpose when I create this part. Yeah, thank you. That's very good. Good to know you can see it.
Anyone else like to share their feedback with Anyan? Okay. Thank you, Anyan, for sharing your beautiful work with us.
Thank you too. Give me good feedback.
Right. It's very important. I think, you know, as I mentioned, your work here, just the nudity part of it is just beautiful because you show that, you know, why hide your femininity? Why is it that women have to, let me see if I can get this to, let me click on it straight. Why is it that women have to feel ashamed or hide? It's really the people who are looking are the ones who are assigning something that's bad or good, not it itself, right? The viewer is the one who is saying, oh, that's this or that's that. It's not you, it's not the person, it's not the breast, it's the person looking at the breast. So it really depends on the viewer. What do they bring to what it is that you've presented here? Or when they see any nude woman's body, what do they encounter, right? So there is a bit of a risk involved when you expose what may or may not, but you could have a picture of a bowling ball, right? And somebody will find something wrong with it. There's somebody in the world who has something against bowling balls, right? So they would think, oh, bowling ball is nude or crude, or because it's got 3 dots, and those 3 dots, you know, reminds them of some other orifice that was probably hurt by, you know what I mean? So people's histories, they bring a story to what you present to them. So as an artist, yes, you have to have some level of courage, but the importance of the work supersedes the need for courage. Just do it, right? As you're doing, Anyan, beautifully done. And these are oil, right?
Yes.
Yeah, these are oil paintings. Very beautiful. And the size, let's see if you click on here, you'll see all of it. It's 24 by 24. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see what else we have here. We have Arij. I don't think I saw Arij's name here. Is Arij here? Let's see if she's on our list. No, I don't see her. Okay, so let's move along to, actually, Dorothy, are you here, Dorothy?
I'm here.
You're here. Okay, so since you're right next to Anyan's work, let's go back to the gallery. See, you're right next to her work. If I can get it to, yeah, here you are, right? This is your work, right?
No, that's not my work.
Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. Let's see. I thought I had the right. Oh, this is Jean Catherine. Okay, so let's find your work, Dorothy. Well, is Jean Catherine here? I don't think she's here then. No. No. Okay, so, all right, Dorothy, let's find your work here. Let's do the quick way, which I'm going to introduce you. And you are going to be here on our website. So Dorothy Knapp Schindel, right?
Schindel.
Schindel. I was going to ask, is it Schindel or Schindel?
It's pronounced many different ways.
Okay, Schindel. Okay, so Dorothy Knapp Schindel, an award-winning author and visual artist, longtime theater director, scenic designer, and museum educator. Dorothy was director of Drama Muse Associates in New York City, where she created interactive theater and drama-based programs for major museums. For the past 14 years, she has been an artist owner of Gallery 14 in Vero Beach, Florida. I gotta come visit you.
I'd love that.
Yeah, a graduate of Columbia University. She studied art at the Brooklyn Museum Art School, Cooper Union, Studio and Forum of Stage Design, and School of Visual Arts. Her numerous awards include River of Hope, an anti-pollution piece chosen for Housatonic River Reflections, an exhibit at the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, and being awarded first place for Unholy Visions in an exhibit sponsored by UNIFEM, the United Nations Development Fund for Women. Bravo, bravo, Dorothy, with all of that. Her statement is, I usually begin with my personal historic photographs. As they become collages, they are purposefully fractured and inspire a visceral response to the subject and locale. Dramatic stories abound. My interest lies in defining a sense of place while creating organically evolved narrative mosaics that fuse rich color and textures with political and historical statements. I'm fascinated with the way people, past and present, interact and respond to their real and dreamed about environments. Perhaps this is due to my years of work as a scenic designer specializing in conceptual installations for alternative theater spaces. It is up to the viewer to partner in developing and internalizing the narratives. Very well said, Dorothy. And I'm going to just let everybody see your work just in general right now. You have 4 pieces. All 4 were entered into the show because they're so apropos, they're so relatable to what we're talking about here in this exhibit for FEMME Champions. So let's start with the first one. I'm the woman who has awakened, right?
Awoken, yeah.
This is a collage. So let me click on that so people can see it larger. And I remember you had come to our very first sort of like run through gallery talk, which has been recorded. So once that's post-produced, people can hear your comments that you made earlier. But aside from those, can you give us a sort of a general idea what these mean. Like this one, I'm the woman who has awoken.
Well, this piece was created and is dedicated to a true heroine, a FEMME champion, whose name is Mina. She was from Afghanistan, and she was educated during a period of time in the 60s when women had a lot of freedom and a lot of equality in Afghanistan. So she had a very good education, but that all came to a halt when she went to college. And then there was a very difficult period in Afghanistan, as we know, back in the 70s, 80s. She founded the Revolutionary RAWA, the Revolutionary Women's Association of Afghanistan. And she was greatly revered as a fighter for women's rights. She was also a poet, and she wrote a beautiful poem, which is too long to read now, but one of the lines that's repeated in the poem is, "I'm the woman who has awoken." So that's why I use that particular line as the title of the piece. She was actually assassinated by the KGB I'm looking up the year she was assassinated, when she was 30 years old in 1987. So there's a lot written about her. There's a wonderful book called Mina, Heroine of Afghanistan by Melody Ermachild, which is available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And her story...
If you can maybe copy and paste that into the chat so people can, if they want to do more.
All right, I will do that.
Yeah.
Her story is fascinating. Mm-hmm. And I just felt, I did some of these pieces for UniFEMME a while ago. One of them, actually, a different one, was called Unholy Visions. And it showed children's drawings of children making drawings of their mothers in burqas actually being shot at, so all these children's drawings with children with guns reacting to things that they were actually seeing their mothers going through on the streets in Afghanistan. That won first place at a United Nations exhibit a while back. Okay. So this was another piece in that series. And you can see, of course, Afghanistan in the background. I do mixed media collage. Most of my work is from my own photographs. This particular piece is not. It's the buildings, of course, and the mountains are cut paper, put together to create images of the landscape. And you actually see Mina here, the women who are protesting, and the women in burqas. And of course, we just had a conversation about women's bodies and showing bodies or not showing bodies. And of course, this was a very oppressive period, which unfortunately they're about to go through again now. So it's very timely now. And the images of the children hope for the future. Yeah. And a few years ago, these children's images were hopeful. And right now, it's not necessarily a hopeful period. So it takes on a different viewpoint. You see some of the Taliban images here.
Are they in the front here?
Yes, right
front
there.
Bottom, yeah.
Yeah, and the women protesting, and a child, covering his eyes.
Yeah.
So that's essentially, it's a political social statement piece.
Yeah. The child covering his eyes is on the far right here.
Yes, right. Right.
Very, very good. Okay. Well, let's see. Thank you for that. And at the end, is there any other piece that you want to specifically talk about right now?
The piece at the bottom with the pink laundry,
yes,
is a, where is it coming? Here it is. This was done for a breast cancer fundraiser. Mm-hmm. And this is all from my own photographs, except for the one girl that is repeated here twice, the two images of the girls, which are found images. Mm-hmm. But everything else are from my photographs that I took on the Lower East Side in Manhattan. And I actually found pink laundry. There's no photoshopping in here. Mm-hmm. So the laundry being pink, of course, I used for breast cancer.
Right.
And
how about the graffiti on the left?
The graffiti, I'm pretty much obsessed with graffiti. I take pictures of graffiti everywhere. I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of graffiti from around the world. And this is just graffiti that I saw in the East Village, which was right near where I took the pictures of the pink laundry. Okay. And, this is just an ode to the women who have gone through the struggle of breast cancer and hope for the future of research and everything that's being done to improve the situation. I do have breast cancer in my family, so this had a lot of meaning to me doing this piece. Mm-hmm. And this is done as a mixed media collage. It's mostly collage, but there might be a little photo transfer in here as well.
Okay.
But there's not much paint in this one.
Okay. And this is 9x12.
Yes.
Very good. Well,
on canvas, yeah.
Okay, let's see where it is. And this is called City of Hope. Let's see where it is in the gallery. Hope I can get back. Let me get out of this. And oh boy, I have so many windows. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
I know 3 of them are together, and the theater piece is in a separate place.
Okay, so that's probably going to be covered in, sorry. Again, you can imagine I have at least 7 windows open. So let's see if you're down.
It's there. Here are the 3. Yeah. Right. And
which one is the one in a different?
The other one is the cigar box, the Bravo to the Women. It's
okay, so that's why
it's about women in musical theater in a cigar box.
Okay.
And the other one here is Clouds. That's with the woman with the laundry. I have to say, I do a lot of laundry pieces.
Okay.
I'm actually known for my laundry, which is kind of funny to say. But so two of these pieces actually have laundry in them.
Right. This one, she's bicycling her laundry in the basket. This one, right? The Clouds.
This is Clouds.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
And this is from a poem that's incorporated into the collage that was done by a good friend of mine when he was in his 90s.
Wow.
Who's a drama critic in New York. And I incorporated the poem into it. And this is all from my own photographs of clouds and countryside. The woman with the laundry basket is an historic photograph from the 50s. Okay. So this is really an ode to the everyday housewife in the 50s.
Wow. Yeah.
Glorified and doing what she thought was best then. This is Bravo to the Women. Mm-hmm. And we see Jessie Mueller in Carousel, the most recent production of Carousel, mm-hmm. and Patti LuPone, and you might recognize some others here. But I also do a lot of cigar boxes. They're like little stages, of course.
Right.
They have a theatrical quality.
You even have the curtains on the bottom when you got the curtains drawn back.
Right.
Very good.
And so this is bravo to all these women actresses over the years who have really, struggled to make it in a lot of different ways. It hasn't always been easy for women in the theater.
Sure.
Especially going way back when women weren't even allowed to be in the theater. Men took the women's roles.
Wow. So, yeah. Wow.
So here we are, and they deserve a big applause. Mm-hmm. So here is the bouquet.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I see. So let me ask the attendees of today. You have 4 beautiful works. Does anyone have, and what I'll do is I will now go to her page here. And while we're looking at that, if anyone would like to lend some comments to Dorothy, that would be really appreciated. So you can unmute yourself and just kind of chime in and let her know your thoughts on these 4 pieces.
I like your hope piece. Actually, I like all of them, but your hope piece stands out. Why do you have such a fascination with laundry? I'm just curious.
Well, it's interesting. I've literally done 100 laundry pieces, and of all different types. Some are just straight laundry without any philosophical reasoning behind them. Mm-hmm. We all have laundry in our lives, right. And laundry really is an expression of the human condition in a lot of ways. Okay. We see a lot through a person's laundry, right. A lot of about who that person is.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, kind of like the term clearing out your dirty laundry. Or
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Did you, Dorothy, did you or your mom or grandma use what we call in Trinidad the juking board? Like that board where you go up and down. It's like
the washboard.
Oh, the washboard.
Yeah, that's what you call it in America. In the West Indies, we call it the juking board because you're juking.
I remember them as a young child. Mm-hmm. I remember living in Brooklyn and having one of the original Thor washing machines in our kitchen in Crown Heights. You would know what I'm talking about, yes. Because you're from the, you're from the area.
Right.
And I remember hanging laundry in the backyard.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Rockaway Beach.
Yeah.
And it was always just very interesting to me. I just love the whole concept and all the different views of laundry, especially around the world. When you see laundry hanging in Italy and France, and so I've been, and the Caribbean, and Cuba, laundry in Cuba. I have a lot of Cuba. I've been to Cuba twice, so I do a lot of collages about Cuba, and laundry there is something absolutely fabulous because it's everywhere. It's hanging absolutely everywhere because they don't have electric dryers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for that. Wow. It's just so interesting what each artist brings to the table of the world of culture. You know, you bring the aspect of cleansing clothing and washing, and Anton brings the idea of the water, not so much the cleansing, but the shape of it. And so each artist brings their own point of view to life, right? So that's why I say artists never have to truly worry about competition, because no one sees the world like you do. No one can give a rendition the way you can. No one. So bravo to all of you today. Now, are there any other comments on Dorothy's work? She has 4 beautiful pieces in the show. Let me go back to you seeing all of them. Does anybody have any other comments before we move along? Yeah. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you very much for showing.
Thank you.
And also for the education you've given us on some of what's been going on and who the person was. And if you can, please put in that.
Oh, I will. I'll do it now.
Okay, great. Because these are the kinds of information that I'd like to share with the future sponsors of our shows. I could say, you see, these are the types of educational tidbits that we receive through the exhibitions. So that adds more value to what we're doing. I mean, and no one would know if we don't tell them, right? So as you're sharing this and educating us, I want to further and amplify what you're doing, educating also for the benefit of all the artists and all the children and schools, and hopefully wherever, I come up with to make this exhibition. It doesn't necessarily have to be these pieces, but just the idea of FEMME champions around the world.
Right, that's important. And I have done in the past a lot of work in schools. And with Educators for Social Responsibility, and I developed peace education programs through drama for years. So I've been very involved with this already. Social issues for a long time, and education.
Right, that's just wonderful. So thank you for even participating in our show, and you're helping give validity to Art Impact International of what we're trying to do, that it's attracted you to us. And so thank you for coming along. Yeah,
I think you're doing a fabulous job. Just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. If no one else has a comment for Dorothy, let's see if I can move along. Oh yes, go ahead. Somebody else? I thought I heard someone. Okay, okay. Is there any other artist that's here now that hasn't spoken that's in the gallery talk number 3? I sort of, let's see if it's here. Yeah, here it is. We had Arij, we had Bill Jones, Clement, Donette. Is Donette here? I, for some reason, thought she was here. We just spoke.
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Okay, Donette, great. Let me go to your page and introduce you to everyone. Okay, don't be slow. Okay, here we are. Donette, here we are. Okay, so Donette Cooper is a practicing attorney and a textile artist whose quilts have been exhibited at the United Nations, Geneva, the Smithsonian Renwick Gallery, the Historical Society of Washington, American Craft Museum, New York, Scuderia Aldobrandi in Rome, and Museum of the Americas in DC. Cooper's quilts are in the permanent collection of the Museum of Black Civilization, Senegal, Liberty Hall, Jamaica. Cooper's work is published in Spirits of the Cloth, Contemporary African-American Quilts. Journey, Onion, can you mute yourself, Onion? Thank you. And Journey of Hope, quilts inspired by President Barack Obama. And We Are the Story, a visual response to racism. Cooper's art practice is achieved in the Save Our Stories oral history project at the Library of Congress. Cooper designs wearable textile art, which has been featured at Caribbean Fashion Week in Jamaica. This is Donette's statement. Nana of the Maroons celebrates the Jamaican national heroine who in the 18th century led by her people in wars of resistance against British imperialism. Born in Ghana, Nana sustained the fight for freedom of the Jamaican Maroons who escaped enslavement, establishing strongholds in the island's mountainous interior. Maroons perfected the art of camouflage long before Europeans deploying foliage to disguise themselves and lure their enemies to their death. The quilt incorporates a resonant Ghanaian symbol, the akoben, a wind instrument that broadcasts martial messages over great distances. Social justice is a dominant theme of the Nana of the Maroons. As a textile artist and a politically engaged attorney, I translate my vision of repertory justice into compelling art that travels over time and space, affirming female empowerment. Wow. That's magnificent, magnificent. So let's, okay. So how about, Donette, if you can talk about now this one piece that you have in the show. And while you talk about yourself a little bit and the piece, I'm going to locate it in the gallery.
Okay. Nana, who is known more popularly in Jamaica as Nanny of the Maroons, came from what is now the Ghana region. And she's of the Asante tribe and was trained in warfare before coming to Jamaica, what is now Jamaica. She lived in, well, she escaped slavery, lived in the mountainous interior, and fought the British in the 18th century, and encouraged and facilitated others to escape and go into the mountainous regions. My paternal line is from one of those maroon communities in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. I worked with the camouflage material on the outer border, and in the inner border, that was a Ghanaian batik fabric that I overdyed to get it closer to what I was looking to work with. Mm-hmm. And then I gathered fabric from the continent, like the Cuba cloth and other textiles, and made the akoben, which we call in Jamaica the abeng, out of silk. That's at the right bottom of the image. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. And you know that comes from the Ghanaian Adinkra symbol family, the language that people use, a symbolic language to express proverbs and other information.
Very good, very good. So this one is again entitled Nana, and you said not always Nana, but Nani.
Nanny is and you know, people have been looking at that and researching and figured that there are a lot of names that change in the in transportation and right. and in, you know, the New World. And they really, from the region she was, Nana is a honor that is not gender specific. It's for both men and women, of authority and leadership and that sort of thing. So it's very logical that she was really Nana. And I pulled out a piece of poetry that I wanted to read.
Please.
It's from Lorna Goodison. She was a former poet laureate of Jamaica, and she was celebrating Nani here because we have 7 national heroes in Jamaica. That's the highest honor that Jamaica can give a citizen, and only one is female. And all of them are dead at this point. But a lot of people who led in all the fights and battles for freedom. And this is what the poem says, a piece of it. And when my training was over, they circled my waist with pumpkin seeds and dried okra, a traveler's agenda, and sold me to the traders, all my weapons within me. I was sent, tell that to history. So it's another artist's read of Nani, that so many people were not just sent and sold randomly. They were trained, they were sent. You know, the ancestors brought them with other people because they knew they would be needed for most people to survive the enslavement experience and all that happened post.
Is there anyone who would like to comment on Nana or Nani of the Maroons?
I would. I lived in Jamaica in the 70s for a couple of years, and I knew that the Maroons were in Port Antonio still, but I did not know how much of Jamaica had them and how many there were. And for all of the anti-slavery rhetoric that's still going on today, it seems really important to know more history. Do you have sources?
I could make some inquiries because I did have some background information, but not at my fingertips now. But there are settlements also in St. Elizabeth, and that's the only Maroon town I visited. That's the one that my father's family is from. And they still have autonomy in Jamaica as like sovereign states.
Right.
And they have a beginning of the year event, and I've been to that event once, where they blow their bang and people come and gather and they talk, they have food, you know, a festival, that sort of thing. But they have leadership and they challenge some of the decisions, especially environmental decisions being made by the government, because they're very concerned about protecting the cockpit country, which is an interior forest preserve in Jamaica that people are always looking to see how they can commercialize it.
Nice.
And I don't think a lot of people are as aware of how many Maroon settlements there were in the South here in America, because it was easier to imagine it in the Caribbean with certain mountainous areas, and they had specific groupings of people, because even some of the Maroon settlements had ended up having treaties with the British, sometimes to the disadvantage really of the enslaved people, because the British really couldn't fight them coming up with their red coats, and they're hiding in the bushes and with leaves and stuff. And, you know, there are all kinds of stories about Nani being able to repel bullets with her bottom and those kind of things. So a lot of mystique developed around her. But there were smaller Maroon settlements in the South, in caves, in mountainous areas, very close to plantations, that very rarely is talked about, at least that I've been exposed to. But I know, I think it was a Schomburg had a publication maybe about 7, 8 years ago, where there's a book that speaks about the Maroon settlements in the United States.
Wow, wow. That would be great, Donette, if you can.
I can
share. Yeah, right. And then, and if you can, even if you can send it to me later, I could share it, yes, later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are there any other comments for Donette? Thank you very much, Donette. Thank you for sharing and enlightening us on this, on Nana of the Maroons. Honestly, I am the first to admit when I never heard of these things. And I'm from Trinidad, but I grew up in Brooklyn, right? So I'm sort of far removed from West Indian history, but even still, even in the United States, well, even in certain, I went to school in a West Indian school, and the histories weren't talked about for this, you know. Most histories are of the European history and not so much the other countries. So
fortunately, that was also the case in the Caribbean. So yeah, it was really in the late 70s that even 1 or 2 Caribbean authors were part of literature syllabus in high school. It was all European writers.
Well, this is what I believe that the artists, as we're doing now, you know, can bring to the community, you know, in however way we can, because the public school systems, they're not getting funding to have speakers come in. So that's why I say, hey, there's an opportunity for us to get funding so we as artists can go in. So you can imagine, which you've been doing already, right? You've been doing this already, but I'm hoping that we can expand of what you're doing already, and other artists who are here on this gallery talk, we can really make, even not a huge impact, some impact that's just not there right now, you know, or very little.
I just saw a comment from Catherine Mckinley.
Okay.
To talk about the process of awareness of both the history and the textiles. And as many of you may know, a lot of African textiles contain specific meaning and messages. Like I mentioned already, the Adinkra symbol, but a lot of information, even the Cuba cloth there, that European eyes or even us in the West perceive just as for the geometric design. The mud cloth I'm wearing, all of those things have messages and names of patterns and symbols, and African dyed fabric, their names, and they're named after events and people and occasions. You'll go to a funeral and the whole family related will come in the same fabric, or the same that they would do for weddings sometimes. But also it can be a pictorial representation of the deceased, and people will wear that. As a matter of fact, as I'm saying about funerals and fabric, Catherine Mckinley is an author of Indigo, and I remember a line from her book talking about in the time of mourning, the women have a saying of tying their cloth, which is the clothes they're wearing, because a lot of traditional fabric is not a dress or a pants or something. It's cloth that you wrap or drape. And tying, I will tie your cloth to your cloth, and in that way bear the weight of the loss and the grief, you know. So indigo has certain significance, and as all the other symbols in the kente cloth and woven textile. But Kathy, maybe you should say something, having written on on textiles in West Africa. Okay.
Yes, Catherine, if you'd like, you can say something. Yeah. Can you unmute yourself? Are you there? Maybe. I'm trying to find her in the lineup here. Can you see her, Donette?
No, I didn't. I just saw.
Oh, there she. Oh, I just missed her. There she is.
And she just published the African Lookbook.
Okay, wait. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to ask her to start her video or even to speak. I think she's muted. I'll ask her to unmute. Yeah.
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Sorry.
Can you share your video or no?
No, I'm
okay.
My dog is here. Stop it.
Okay. He wants to get in on the news here.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
What can I'm sorry. I actually took a phone call, so I missed what was said at the very end.
Donette was asking if you can share something. You asked for Donette.
Yes, about the meaning of the fabric and that sort of thing in especially West Africa.
Yeah, what I was asking really was about that question when the host was talking about growing up in Trinidad and just like that process of decolonizing our imaginations and, you know, moving. When did you start to move into African textiles and know them and understand them, and what was that like?
All right, I think I started in just briefly in high school when we did some tie and dye and got some exposure to batik in art class. And I would say I taught before I did law, and I always found ways to teach things through art. And I would dye things with children and let them make a mask. And, you know, once I had in Massachusetts, I was teaching first grade, and we had a whole exhibition on West Africa. A friend from Ghana loaned me a lot of his personal pieces, and we had it in an exhibition space in the hallway that was behind glass and locked. And so from the images of the fabric and the mask and that sort of thing, I use paper and to work with the children to make their own masks. We dye T-shirts. I did something on exhibition that they worked on of like doing a world map with using, you know, cutting paper and gluing a mixed media piece of pictures from magazines and just having a wide array of people representation. And then we did some foods like coconut, and I showed them how to make coconut candy. We went into the staff room and I cooked the sugar and the coconut, and then they had that, you know. So I've always had a way of using the art in teaching, and then I love to travel. And so everywhere I go, I acquire fabric and I acquire the history about it. Up in Abeokuta in Nigeria, seeing the women dyeing the indigo, or seeing the weavers in Ghana doing kente. And so wherever I go, I also acquire fabric. And I also learned how to batik, tie-dye, shibori. So some of my pieces I actually dye, but very little was dyed in this one. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you. And also, I just want to add to this conversation with cloth and laundry. In the World War, in the Civil War, the plantation slaves did use laundry as a way of communicating secret messages. So they would have certain colors that would mean certain things. That the slave owners would have no idea that information was being communicated to whatever they were trying to do, whether it's escape route or the opposite, the Union soldiers coming or whatever. But they also used laundry and certain symbols on the laundry to give information that just seemed invisible. So that was a project that I was working on a couple of years ago that it hasn't come to fruition yet, but one of there are organizations who specialize in just women and how they helped to win the Civil War for the slaves, and actually laundry was one of the ways of giving information, like code. Like they may not have had, the Morse code clicky, but they had their laundry. So I thought that was very interesting. So the fact that Donette is bringing forward her artwork that has to do with like the symbols and so forth. So there's just an enormous amount of play that cloth has in the world and in changing the world, which is fascinating to me, fascinating and very educational,
But, there's also a theory that has been probably discredited now, but a lot of people still hold to it, that quilts were also used as messages.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
If you Google the Underground Railroad quilt, you'll see that the different symbols were supposed to indicate. Dobard was one of the authors of the book.
Yeah.
But I do think that, I hate to say it because I want to believe that, but I do think that has been discredited.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but I don't think there's enough evidence in the arguments. And I think people kind of ran with the idea.
Got access to all that fabric and to make all the symbols and that everybody would know that this symbol means this.
Right. But maybe it's not the everybody. Maybe it's just a small enough amount of people who are now long dead that can't speak up for the credibility of what had happened.
True. And the quilt, and then also the quilting of African Americans, even post-slavery, was with this skimpiest of fabrics. Fabrics left over from jobs that they made clothes for other people, and they even used paper as a way to piece on to create fabric. And of course, like the G's Benz people who used a lot of work clothes, jeans, corduroy, whatever was left to make quilts for warmth.
I want to ask Winifred, because she's a wonderful textile artist. Winifred, can you comment anything on what we're discussing here?
Well, I'm listening, and I do know, Donetta, we're in the same quilting guild, and we've been in other shows together, but I agree with everything that's being said. And I think it's important that those people that have no idea about fabric and what it means and how we have used it, and coming along and making clothes for our, passing clothes to, down to our family members because they've been repurposed, taken apart, repurposed. And, but this is an interesting discussion here, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. So thanks, Donetta.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So guys, anybody else want to give any last comments on Nana or Nani of the Maroons by Donette Cooper? Lovely art.
This is Catherine again. I wanted to ask Donette, not that there's necessarily time to answer now, but I'm wondering about not just like our African roots, but also the roots within the women of our family, like how your mother, grandparents, women in the community's own expression with clothing may have influenced the way that you were able, not just to pick up African fabric, but also to, to compose things in really particular ways. Because I think about your sister is a famous fashionista and famous for her African dress. And I wonder about that, like what your father was a tailor, about that kind of legacy.
Oh, definitely.
Sometimes I think we overlook what's very near to us,
yeah,
to talk about, you know, like what happened in the world of other people.
Yeah, I definitely come from that family, and my brother, although he too is a lawyer, went off in having fashion shows and representing international models and a bunch of other things in fashion. So we all got the bug from my father. But my maternal grandmother sewed. And so my first job in sewing was threading her Singer sewing machine.
Yes.
When her eyesight began to fade. So I was her threader. and it was one of those foot pedal Singer machines. And she had sewn for my mother as a child. She said she used to get the Sears catalog and would recreate the clothing, because this was a good line from her, well, maybe a bad line, that Americans base so that you can sew, because she questioned the quality of the sewing. But she sewed for my mother, and she was still sewing when I was a child. And my mother was a teacher, and my grandmother had the job of making uniform ties and epaulets for the children, because they sold that. But my father was a master tailor, and he started his journey in Jamaica. Then he lived in England for 8 years. Some of that time my mother was there, and when she became pregnant with me, she came back home. But he studied tailoring, and when he came back to Jamaica, he had his own business, and he also had a workspace at home. He converted the garage into a workspace, and I would spend a lot of time just watching him tailor a suit, which was such a level of, you know, layers of batting and hand sewing and literally building the sleeve. And sometimes I felt like it could stand on its own, you know. And my brother complained at his funeral that he had him one summer making a pants with, you know, inset pockets and everything. And he was just after, you know, and he had to pick out because my father was a perfectionist. And he said he couldn't imagine that he spent so much time on the pants and it was only a short pants. At least it should have been long pants. But, you know, so I do come from that history of sewing, and was fortunate to have taken a clothing construction class in college when some of those things were available. And so I just continued in that vein.
Well, thank you, Donette. Thank you for being a attorney, for your wisdom, for your art, for keeping up the tradition of textile, and giving us the information and education to understand how social justice can be spread across the different art forms, you know, and what you're doing on the ground is wonderful. So thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your work. And so if there aren't no other comments to Donette, we're going to move along to, I believe we have next, I think Anud, who has done a piece for Diana Ross, right? Anud, are you here?
Hello, how are you, Carolyn?
Yes, I'm fine. Let me just bring up your art.
Thank you.
Sure. This is Anud Strong. And I introduced you last week, but I'd love for you just to give us a short talk about your piece here, and I will read your bio that you are a native Washingtonian artist, you're a musician, producer, songwriter, and DJ mix show host. Anud Strong has exhibited works of abstraction, pop art, drawings on canvas at exclusive exhibits in the nation's capital. He uses a digital canvas technique, utilizing technology in the design process. Creation Unlimited. Anaud Strong has had works displayed in various selected exhibitions in Washington, D.C., including the Giovanni Art Group of Capitol Hill over the years. His inspiration comes from life, love, music, and art design. We share in the divine creation. So Anaud, let me hand this over to you so you can talk a little bit more about yourself and also Diana Ross Pieces of Ice.
Yes, greetings to everyone. I appreciate being a part of the Art Impact FEMME Champions exhibition. This is my first virtual exhibition, so I appreciate everything that is happening as far as you sharing our information on the digital as well as our artwork. And it is an honor to be amongst all the other creative artists who have contributed pieces to this particular art exhibit. I chose to honor Diana Ross Pieces of Ice. Diana Ross is a living legend. She is a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. She also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2016. She's a Kennedy Center Honor, NAACP Image Award honoree, and Golden Globe. And I chose her because she's a pioneer musician, vocalist, producer, artist, actress. She has contributed to various causes around the world in fashion, in art. And Pieces of Ice is just one of her songs. She has an album called Ross. And this was kind of like my interpretation of the album cover, which is kind of in a monochromatic medium. How I started this particular piece is I normally draw my work on canvas. Then I would kind of digitize it. And then that's where you get the digital canvas. And then I will add some various effects. So that's pretty much how I did this particular piece.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. And this piece is, let's see how large it is. It is 20 by 23, and you did this year.
Yes, I did a lot of creative art during this pandemic period because I've been home for almost like a year and a half, pretty much. You know, I have another career, so I've been teleworking from home. So I work, and then in my free time, you know, I've just been creating all these different sketches, painting various canvas, doing various mediums and other kinds of sculptures. This is why I say creativity is very unlimited because I never plan on what I'm going to do next. I don't have a degree in art. I'm just a self-taught, you know, artist who've had some training in, you know, grade school, high school, junior high school. But I really didn't start really painting until this last year.
Wow, wow. So I see that it looks like you have Sade in the background behind you. Is that Sade?
Yeah, I'm also a music collector as well. I collect tour posters. When I was younger, we used to go to festivals in Washington, D.C. at the RFK Stadium. And one of the things I used to always collect was the tour books and the art promotional stuff that they would sell. So I have been collecting for like maybe 30 years. So I'm just framing most of my posters now, which are probably collector's items at some point.
Wow.
I'm a Prince fan. So I love all the music by the 80s artists. Mm-hmm. I do music myself. I'm starting up an independent record label. So I do DJ mix shows. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really trying to just continue to network in the art and music medium.
Can I ask you a question, Anaud? Can you tell me, what do you think are the challenges females have in the music industry? I've done my own research and I've read different things, but being that you're in the mix of things, what do you see that's going on for the female musicians or female artists or even DJs? Or, I mean, how is it different out there for them? Or has it been getting better for them? Or is it sort of the same struggle that you see women have to go through to get noticed really in the music industry?
Well, you know, in the music industry, you know, it has gone through ebbs and flows because most of the artists, the singers were the women, but the men were the producers. Women have always been kind of like the center of the attention, but they weren't always the benefactors of reaping all the wealth and that comes along with songwriting, publishing, and producing. I am also affiliated with, there's a network called the Clubhouse. And that is where you meet with like-minded individuals in the various groups that you're, you know, music topics, art topics. They have little rooms to discuss things of this nature. And that topic came up, are women further in their careers and equal to their male counterparts? Me coming through the music industry, I've always seen women DJs. So it was kind of like a rarity, but when the 2000s kick in, there's more visibility online now. You could be more of an independent online. I believe there's some great achievements that have been done. In the music business, Tina Marie was one of the first female artists who produced her own music in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And she also was instrumental in changing some of the contractual laws on what they call it, independent contracts with corporations.
Right.
So she had a lawsuit with Motown, so it changed the landscape of how long you could be in a personal contract with any person or corporation. So, but when you think about what women have championed over the years, I think about the suffragette movements of how women were almost treated less than a dog or didn't have the same respect of an animal. So, you know, when you think about that, women really, their voting rights just came in, not in our last century, right? So women are just getting their opportunity to vote in other countries, like just now, like in maybe the last 20, 30 years.
Wow.
So as far as music, we still try to strive for equality. And that's what this whole exhibition and the interest and how I got drawn into it.
Right.
The exhibition came to me. and I just happen to have a picture ready for the occasion.
Right.
But I never say never say give up. Just keep trying and let tomorrow do what it's going to do.
Wow. One last question to you, Anu. Since you're in the music industry, do you know the NFTs, that whole movement? How has that helped non-fungible tokens, right? That's what NFT stands for. So now that you can have a digital signature ownership of whatever digital artwork that's out there, and that owning an NFT is you have the original, so you can pay a lot. So in a way, would you agree that that's one way that gender definitely cannot truly make any problem? You can be whatever gender, and you can still do well. I mean, for the pure NFTs, obviously the different platforms may want a certain type of artist, female or male, but just as an independent, do you know anything about how that's progressing in the music industry, these NFTs?
Well, I just kind of, over the last year, I did some research on the NFTs, and one of the artists who I was drawn to find out more about his NFT was the artist by the name of The Weeknd.
Okay.
And he had collaborated with an artist and created several different price range NFTs. Some were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then I saw some that were like $250. Mm-hmm. One of the things I could say as far as your identity and if you'll be taken seriously based on your gender, there's always you can always use a pseudonym, neutral. You know, it's unfortunate that people have to do that, you know, but in the world of the social media world that we're living in now, you know, people can hide behind different aliases.
Right.
Your images don't necessarily have to be this video that we're actually, we saw this coming in Star Trek, you know, back in the 60s.
Right.
This whole virtual Zoom world that we're living in. And I appreciate it because it allows me to communicate with people in other countries that I wouldn't have never and probably will never get to.
Right.
So you can always do many writers who've written famous books. They were males and they use female names, they vice versa. So that's always the possibility if you feel you're being judged or criticized while being a woman.
Right, right.
You can always come up with another name or a company name or something of that nature.
Right, right. And I would hope that people would still stay true to who they are and not have to hide anything about themselves. I would think that would actually help. But sometimes what you may think should be a positive factor in the world turns out to be the opposite, unfortunately. So I just wanted to put that out there as you was one of the few artists who also are in the music industry. I thought I'd sort of see if we could get some more education about what's going on in the music industry for women and for men too. So thank you. And now, how do you pronounce your name? I've been saying Anaud. How do you pronounce it?
Well, it just depends on where you are in the world. Some people call me Anaud. Some say Anad, Arnaud. Depends on if you're in France. Because I do have some work out that due to an error online, my name has been spelled as Arnaud. Oh. Which is okay with me too, because I can go by that as well.
Okay.
I wanted to share this with the group. There was a movie I saw called Big Eyes, and it was about this artist who created this cartoon that had these big eyes. But it was a wife and husband team who she was drawing the pictures, but he was getting all the credit as the artist. So that's an example of how this art was created by two people, but the wife could not go public.
Oh.
So that's a good movie to check out. It's called Big Eyes. And it's a famous little cartoon, this little girl with these children that have these real big eyes.
Wow. Can you put that in the chat box so people can copy and paste it later?
Okay.
And
I
also,
can do that.
Great. And I'll also, I get to download all the chat in the information so I can share the whole chat exchanges with everyone later. Okay. So thank you for that. Does anyone have any feedback for Anaud or questions? Let me put it on gallery view. Okay. Well, if there are no questions, I guess I asked a lot of questions myself. So let's move. So thank you very much for your information and your beautiful artwork of Diana Ross. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, Yemi. Yemi, are you here? Yes, you have to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. So let me pull up your work. And I did speak about your work in detail last week, but I would like you to tell us. I'm going to just show the whole. Okay, I'm going to show the whole lineup of your work, which is just so masterful. And in brief, that, you know, Oyemi, he is originally, he's right now living in the UK, but you can tell us a little bit more about your African background, Oyemi, and these 4 pieces, which are just gorgeous. Let's talk a little bit about who you are, and then just a bit about the 4 pieces that you have here in the show.
Okay, thanks very much. I was born in Yoruba land. Yoruba land is part of British made up country called Nigeria. Nigeria wasn't a country before the British invaded that area and just name it Niger area. Around the River Niger, people that live around River Niger, they call them Niger area. But I'm a Yoruba man from the West. I mean, like Yoruba people are all over the world, from Nigeria to Brazil to Cuba and all those islands. So that's where Yoruba people are. So that's just basically a rough idea of where I'm from. And I left Nigeria in 1982 to study in America. And I got my degree in 86. And I landed here in UK, where I've been living since 1986. Yeah, but for a while, I've been trying to make a family, make a living. So I've been doing freelance and graphics and everything. But when the Arab Spring came up around 2012, I picked up my brushes to make my opinion known about what is going on around the world. So this 4 painting I'm show, I'm trying to show the culture and fashion of Yoruba people. On the table here is the picture of my mom. So I'm trying to show the difference between the culture and the fashion of the olden days and the modern days. The modern Yoruba girls, they dress with a part of their boob showing up, that they show their cleavage. In my mother's era, they wear blouse that cover up. But the modern Yoruba people, you can see in front of this big one, she has a tablet in front of her. Yeah. They go into the tablet, that's where they got their fashion. So that's how they, so I'm trying to show how the technology affects the fashion of Yoruba people of this modern day.
Beautiful.
So I tattoo is Gele to show where I'm coming from. The background is the National Theatre, a well-known landmark in Nigeria. You can see the flag of Nigeria, green, white, green, to show where I'm coming from. As for at the beginning of the exhibition, the Western world to make African look bad. All they say about Africa is poverty and war, but I want to show the affluency of Yoruba people, the African people. We are rich in art and culture. Not every African die of malnutrition. So we are well-to-do, we have food, we have everything. Good, and I mean, we are affluency in Africa. That's what I'm trying to show in this painting. And me as an artist, I don't like to copy nature. I like to create my own idea. So the theme of my work is the of life, roses and thorns. So in everybody's life, there's good life, and there's something that's not so good. So success and achievement represent roses. Challenges of life is what I term to be thorns. So in everybody's life, there's a time when it's not good, so good. We have thorns in our life. That's what I'm trying to show here. And this picture of the white girl, I met her in an exhibition in New York, and I tried to do some work of old masters. So I saw one painting of a French artist of 18 something. So I used the costume of that era, and I put the face of the girl. The girl is from Norway. So the background of the painting, I took a landmark of Norway to be the background, and I put the picture, and I titled the picture, the painting, Lady Merit of Norway.
Beautiful. And this is acrylic or oil?
Oil on canvas.
Yeah, gorgeous. My goodness. Look at the detail of the pearls and the ruffles, the earrings, the hair, the background.
So I just like, all these old artists, they have a debris in front of the window, like Ruben and all those. So I try to copy their style.
Right.
So I have debris at the background, and then the people can look at the distance, see the beautiful sunrise or sundown.
Right. And then the other one here is of Simone.
Yes, Simone, yep. Like, as an artist, like Simone, when I was thinking of doing this painting, during the Olympic 2016, she shined. As I said before in the beginning of the exhibition, it's fascinating to see a black girl shining through the white-dominated sport. That to be, a charisma, a gymnastic, artistic flair is what influenced me to do this painting.
Wow.
Coming from a poor background, and she become a superstar. So that anybody with hard work, you can get to the top.
Wow. Very good. Okay. And then we have the
violinist, yeah. So when I do pottery, as I said, if I'm not using roses and tones to create, I like to use the profession of my subject for their portrait. So this young lady, she's a violinist. She teaches violin at school, and she play violin at the church choir in my church. So when I look at the picture, and I just think like Salvador Dali, just to create something that a camera cannot capture. So I fuse her face and the violin together, and then the sky behind her full of musical notes and her hair.
Beautiful. Does anyone have any comments for Oyemi? I'm going to go back to his full page with the artwork here. Any comments or feedback you'd like to give? And again, Yemi, you had been on the call the very first time, right?
Yeah.
And the second, I went over it with you. So I think we had some comments before. So let's, so unless there are any additional comments, but thank you so much, Oyemi, for your masterful work here. There's just outrageously wonderful, the pieces that you have in this show.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hi, Carolyn. This is a nod. Can I ask a question?
Yes, a nod. Go ahead.
Okay, there's two things. One thing, I wanted to know, how long does it take you to paint one picture? Oh, yeah, me. And also, I noticed that your portraits have a lot of surrealism in it. And, you know, that brings back a little bit of Dali to me. You know, some of Dali's work, it was just definitely, I couldn't understand, you know, why he would choose certain images in his work. But I know they say artist needs no explanation, but feel free to comment.
Yeah, I like Salvador Dali and surrealist artists because, I mean, during the time of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, there's no camera. So people have to sit down, they have to copy the nature. But in our modern day, we have camera, we have everything. So for me to sit down to copy a picture of somebody, is, to me, it's like wasting of time. I rather use my artistic talent to create what camera cannot produce. So when I'm doing, so if anybody commission me to do a painting for them, I will ask their background. I would like to tell the story about their life, not about how they sit down. And my latest painting I just finished, I don't know if you people watch European Cup in July. I did a painting about England star. So there's a black boy that was abused, socially abused. She missed a penalty during the sport, and the racist people, they taunt her, they taunt him, and they abuse him. And I'm just trying to paint the episode of what happened that time when the Italian captain put the ball down. So that's what I try to represent here, because it's a 19-year-old boy, and the Italian man was the captain. Because the boy was about to score, he pulled him down. And then during the penalty, the Italian man said he put a curse on him. So that's what I'm trying to make here. The boy is a rose, and because of the devilish action of the man, I put mask of the devil into his face. So I like to do something like that, not to just copy picture, but to tell story with my painting.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. That's awesome. Awesome.
So I really appreciate what you are doing, Carol. Like we as an artist, we're supposed to be an activist to say something about what is wrong in our world. So I want to change the definition of feminism. So when you say feminist, I don't want women to be activists, to be anti-men. There's no human being without male or female. God created us male and female. So, I mean, in our own modern world, we talk about the Middle East, Afghanistan, how they are being barbaric about women. But even in our own civilized Western world, women are being abused all over. Recently, a policeman that was supposed to be protecting, used his uniform to kidnap a woman, rape and kill her. Even in this Western world. So there shouldn't be, women should be free. The way things are happening. I mean, look at this, where we are now. We have only 3 men in this gathering today. So why should it be only women that stand up for the feminist champion? I mean, we saw Tony, we saw other, Arnold and myself. We are minority in this thing, whereas we as human beings, we need to rise up for woman cause.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here as a man in this Femme Champions exhibit. I'm thrilled that you and Anud and some of the other, Tony, he's here as a man. Thank you, Tony, for helping stand up for gender equality. Not that women and men need to be exactly the same. They can't be. They're separate. They're different genders. And in that contrast, we make the human the mankind, right?
Yes,
so thank you guys for being here and showing up, and that this isn't just a girl thing. It's not, it's a human thing. So thank you for that. And thank you for pointing that out, Oyeme.
Thank you.
All right, we've been going now almost 2 hours, guys. Let's see, do we have any artists who are here that were supposed to speak that haven't spoken yet? Can you unmute yourselves and let's get to you first off. So let me go to my little sheet here of all the artists that were supposed to speak today. Adrian, Clement's not here, Donette, Dorothy, Dusty, I didn't see her name. Elena, I don't think she's here. Frank, Gabriella, Gerald, Hubert, Ilaria, Janie, James, Jean Catherine, I think you did speak already, right? I think she spoke, I'm not sure. Jerome, Lauren, Lois, we've got a lot of missing in action people. That's okay, because we had a great talk, but we've gone, it's almost 3:19. So unless anybody wants to, that's here, that has art, we can, since so many are missing in action, we can talk about your piece if you'd like. So everybody's quiet. I think it's a Saturday. Everybody wants to go and play, right?
Oh, hi. I actually was on the list for today, so
Who is this?
Nikki.
I can't. Who is this?
Nikki.
Nikki.
I'm at the bottom of the list.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Oh, here, Nikki. Okay, great. So thank you for speaking up, Nikki. Thank you. Let's go to your page and then I'll introduce you. Nikki Srinivasa. Oh, yes. Grandmother's song. So Nikki Srinivasa, she is a California native and is primarily self-taught in the fine arts. She began her creative career in fashion, but after discovering the printmaking, she realized that creating artwork itself was her true direction, and she refocused on fine art. Through her experiences in fashion, she developed a deep interest in embroidery, beadwork, and fiber works, which was primarily informed by her Indian heritage and is how she creates personally authentic, textural fine art experiences. Her art is reflective of her personal life story, and her unique style has resulted in achievements, including an upcoming billboard in Times Square, an exhibition at Art Basel, and upcoming artist book. This is her statement. My Indian heritage has played a profound role in my development as an artist, always surrounded by intricate beaded sculptures and clothing. I feel deeply called to explore embroidery and beadwork as mediums. I believe painting is how I can truly explore my personal history, interests, and their relationships to traditional mediums. This piece champions my hero, my Pati, grandmother, who may not have ever had art adorning walls or of galleries, but is someone who creates art every day. She has created masterpieces using nothing but coffee powder and has created beauty in the peels of vegetable remains. Her legacy lives in each who see the world as more extraordinary in the artistic potential of each and everything around us. Well said, Nikki. So please This is Nikki's piece, Grandmother's Song. So I'm going to highlight Nikki. Nikki, where are you? Can you start speaking so I can find you quickly?
Hi.
There you are. Let's see. There. Great. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So can you tell us anything we haven't spoken about in your background, and then also about this textual, wonderful piece called Grandmother's Song?
Oh, so this is so exciting for me to be here, and thank you for having me. And I loved hearing, to start off, about everyone else's art and seeing the incredible people that are here. And when I first found out about this opportunity and exhibition, I knew that, I mean, there's so many different examples of female champions in our world, and they, you know, you can look to pop culture, you can look to all different history. And for me, I wanted to take this time to honor someone who has truly been one of the biggest supporters in my life, and I've never really had this kind of an opportunity to honor her in this way. And so I wanted to highlight the incredible person that my grandma is, and the influence that she's had, not just on me, but my whole family. And she really is the glue. And so for this piece, I actually used beads out of an old sari that she had given me years ago, and it doesn't fit me anymore. And I asked her if it was okay. And so I really wanted this to highlight not just her story, but it's very common, you know, how she grew up. You know, she was a widow at a time in India, at a time where, you know, that was really looked down upon. And so she struggled a lot to be able to provide for my mom and her sister, and to give them a life in America, and when they came over here for college. And she has such a passion for life and for art in general, but had never had the opportunity to pursue her own dreams, but rather put her heart into making sure, you know, all of us generations after her could. And so I wanted to pay homage to that, and also to other Indian women who experience things similarly, who may not have that same opportunity to go for their dreams. And for them, you know, and to honor them, I wanted to put forward a piece that could more so be about them than about me. I don't want, you know, this is all about Indian women and, you know, like my grandma.
Wow, wow. Well, it definitely comes through. The feeling of family and the expression on her face is just so warm. And she looks very proud of her family and very maternal, like, you know, she's being protective too. And you renditioned her eyeglasses, so she's definitely looking, you know, and watching and make sure everybody is doing the right thing. And it's just really well done. Even like you have the beads here and all the, I would love to see this in real, you know. I'm sure it's even more spectacular seeing all of the different media that you have here on here. Now tell me, which country in India is your grandmother from?
So
or which city?
My whole family, both my mom and dad's side, they're all from the south of India, and my grandma is from Bangalore, and so that is where my mom and sister grew up. But she has a lot of siblings, and so they grew up in Bangalore, but then they also dispersed to, you know, there's some that are in Mumbai, and they're all over South India.
I traveled to India. I spent 2 months there, and I did go to Bangalore. So I'm glad that you, Bangalore and also Bombay. At the time, it was called Bombay, not Mumbai. So yeah, that was the last city that I visited. And when I go back, I promised myself to start at Mumbai now and go north. But I did go there. It was just beautiful, beautiful country. I just backpacked, you know, and I just stayed in guest houses and bummed out on the beach, and it was just wonderful. But so this just really also, the colors do also remind me of my trip, because India all of the cities are so colorful. They remind me a little bit of going to South Florida, right? Some of those, the architecture is very much the blues and the oranges and so forth. So, and even the pinks you have here. So that, and tell me, what is in the center? This is your grandmother also sitting down, or is this another figure, another member of the family?
Yeah, that's another member of the family. And that, I wanted to quickly say about the colors. Actually, the house that my grandma grew up in, it is, I don't have a photo on me right now, but it was just about as colorful as you can imagine. And it was, you know, the floor, the tiling, everything was just so vibrant. And the color palette was actually, I took inspiration from that house and the primary colors. And